Trading really has been the best therapy for me. It's taught me a lot about myself, my emotions, watching losing days of $50,000 and then having winning days of over $100,000 in a single day. I've been trading Forex and crypto and stocks for the past nearly a decade, and nothing has been better at helping me manage my emotions than trading. And the interesting part is that if you are ever going to become a profitable trader, one of the things that you're going to have to do by default is learn how to manage this crazy thing in your head called your brain. You have to learn how to manage your emotions. I had a client yesterday ask me a question, and he's been one of my clients for the past 7 years, actually since I started Mission FX 7 years ago back in 2018. And this is what he said. I'm going to read you his question, and then I'm going to answer it, and I'm going to walk you through a couple things on a context-specific basis to teach you exactly what you need to know in order to be able to have emotional regulation in trading. And at the very least, I hope this video just teaches you that you need to have emotional regulation in trading, and then of course give you a little bit of how-to on how to develop that. So, my client and my friend says, "Hey Nick, good afternoon, my brother. How have you been? I had a question regarding something you said in one of your recent videos. You mentioned a stoic, calm as a cucumber mindset, and it's something I've been contemplating for the past couple of days now. I've been reflecting on myself and my way of thinking and behaving as a human being in general, and I find myself somewhat able to relate, but only when considering the past couple years in my life. In all honesty, I grew up with anger issues that I believed stemmed from my mom and my grandparents, as far back as God knows when. It is something that has somewhat tormented me for the vast majority of my life. I was a very irritable kid, up until adulthood as well, getting mad over the littlest things and allowing that to sour my mood, for a day or even two, sometimes even for weeks. And one might say for life, as I found myself in a state of bitterness which I have since healed from. I'm not going to turn this into a free therapy session, but just a little background. Anyways, I find that I still have some unwanted residual effects from these thought patterns that for the most part are impulsive. It's not like I spend my days thinking angry thoughts any more than I used to, but I sort of just react to something that doesn't sit well with me in the moment. Aside from the fact that this affects my trading at times, it leaks into other areas of my life." Then he says, "I was wondering if you could share something that helped you be as calm as you are in general. Maybe life lessons from somebody or life taught you. Aside from from having a probabilistic mindset when it comes to trading, I would like to be calm in every area of my life." One of the interesting things about any type of emotion that you would consider negative is remembering that it is a complete automaticity. When is the last time you pick and chose what thoughts came into your head and paraded around? When's the last time you chose what emotions you just felt? When's the last time you chose the fact that you got upset about something, or sad about something, or in our friend's case here, angry about something? These are not things that you control. However, you can, to some degree, interface with them differently. You can essentially manage the way that you interface with these thoughts, these feelings, these emotions, these sensations in a healthy way, so that way they don't negatively impact your life, and in this case, more specifically, trading. Now, first, it's important to understand where these things come from. They're normal. There's nothing wrong with you whenever you get angry. There's nothing wrong with you for getting upset or fearful. If you're watching the charts, you're seeing a trade go into drawdown, then you're getting upset because you, quote, broke your rules in trading and you didn't do what you thought you should have done, and it ends up turning into a losing trade, or a profitable trade turns around and results in break even, and then you're upset with yourself or even mad. Where does all this come from? It comes from the past it's about 6 million years of human evolution. Human evolution has instilled some very weird feelings and emotions in us. For example, fear is one of the most useful skill sets that you can possibly have. And the reason I say skill set, because it is a skill set to learn when to utilize fear and also when to let go of this idea of fear, because it doesn't really apply in the given moment. Another one of these things is anger. Humans who had the characteristic of developing this mutation called anger in the way that they conduct themselves physiologically, psychologically, and socially with other humans, and even like predators that are non-human, was being angry. Using anger was quite literally a great way to get what you wanted, and also being aggressive, which is just a direct result of anger, meant that you were able to better defend yourself, and you were able to get what you wanted by being more aggressive, being more angry, being more combative, more hostile, and it was a form of protection. It served humans very well for the past 6 million years. But now we're living in a world where if you get angry about something, in this case, let's say a trade that doesn't go your way and you just get angry, it's not really the most beneficial emotion. Sure, it can motivate you to take action and do things, but in today's world, a lot of the things that you're rewarded with as a result of being angry or aggressive just mean that you go to jail or you get killed by someone or you get shot and killed by police. It's not a very good thing to be angry these days in general because it's just not a very productive emotion to have. And so now we're left with trying to determine how to handle this emotion and how to deal with it long term. So with that being said, let's go ahead and dive into it a little bit more. Our friend, we'll call him Jeremy, when he's trading and whenever he's going about his daily life, he's getting the sensation of being angry very easily at certain things. The interesting thing here to consider is the fact that whenever you feel these emotions wash over you, the second order consequence of that is you get to decide whether or not you're going to act on those emotions spontaneously. And that's what feels right in the moment. It feels right. It feels satisfying to just act on them immediately. Perhaps this is just jumping into a trade because you have the fear of missing out. Perhaps this is closing a trade because you're mad and you're upset at yourself for entering it in the first place and now it's going in a drawdown. Or instead of acting on that emotion, you can choose to just accept the fact that you feel angry and then do nothing. Now, as simple as that actually is, yes, it's hard to actually do when it comes to practice. And it's very difficult to do over and over again in a consistent, predictable way unless you have enough experience and take the time to develop the mental fortitude and persistence to continually and reliably ignore those negative discursive thoughts and feelings like fear and sadness, and in this case, anger. So, Jeremy, here's how I go about doing this. And to you, the lovely viewer here on my channel, thank you for watching, by the way. I will share this with you as well so that you can learn how I manage it personally. So, I had crippling anxiety for almost a decade, and really what I believe to be my whole life. And anxiety is a type of emotion, psychological state that is very adjacent to things like fear and sadness and depression and even anger. It is an emotion that washes over you that you really have no control over the fact that it happens. You only have a little bit of control over what you choose to do about it whenever it does in fact happen. So here's what I do. Whenever I'm trading, and I'm going about my day, I know that the day could end in a profit or a loss or a break even. And it's always going to be one of those three things. There's never a day where I wake up where I don't end up in profit or loss or break even. It's just going to be one. And what I do know is I tell myself that whatever outcome occurs for that given day, I'm not going to be too attached to it, and I'm just going to let it happen and just shrug my shoulders and just do the best that I can. Because ultimately in life, if you really think closely, you cannot really control any outcome. You can't even control your own actions a large percentage of the time because they're based on things that are independent of you. They're based on things such as your brain and biology and biochemistry that you have no control over. And they're also based on the experiences you've had, which also you've had no control over your experiences. Quite literally, you didn't pick the brain you were born with, and you didn't pick the experiences that you have. And all those things come together to dictate the emotions you feel, the thoughts you have, the actions you engage in, the things that convince you whether or not to do something. All you have to do is just rewire it, because those things are good, generally speaking, from an evolutionary perspective, but they're kind of maladaptive whenever it comes to modern day life in general, let alone trading. So whenever I get emotions like I used to have anger, and I don't have anger very often, to be fair. However, whenever I did have anger and I would get really mad about something or upset about something, what I remember is to become very self-aware, immediately recognizing oh, hey, you're angry right now, Nick. This is anger. This is what it feels like. And you just have to be self-aware. Now, here's what a couple people will tell you to do. I've seen counselors, clinical psychologists, therapists say multiple different things. I will share with you what's worked the best for me whenever you have a wave of emotions such as anger or fear or sadness or anxiety wash across you. What they will tell you to do is they will tell you to just, remind yourself you're okay, take some deep breaths, breathe real slowly, do all these essentially what I consider mental gymnastics to try to make yourself feel better. And these are all coping mechanisms and neutralizing behaviors that you and me engage in to try to make ourselves feel better. And why are we doing that? Because we don't want to feel like shit. It makes perfect sense, whether that's our personal lives or whether it's you looking at a chart, watching a trade that's about to stop out. No one wants to feel like shit, so it's perfectly understandable. What's worked best for me is not doing that. What's instead worked better for me was instead just accepting that the emotions that I'm feeling and that the fear or the resent or the anger or the depression, the sadness, the anxiety is just accepting the fact that, you know what, I feel this way and there's nothing I can do to stop this feeling. So yeah, I mean, I feel angry right now. Yeah, I feel anxiety right now. Yeah, I feel fear right now. Literally I'm like shaking and my hands are getting cold. And I'm going to sit with this emotion as long as I need to. And I'm just going to do the best that I can. And whatever happens, happens. If you approach it that way, what you're doing is you're essentially acknowledging the fact that you have a weird feeling or a weird emotion, like fear or anger, but you are not acting on it in the same way that you would otherwise. So it's the difference between saying, okay, I feel anger. Now I'm going to go and like beat my wife or yell at this person or pull out a gun and shoot someone. Instead of doing those things, you say, I feel anger, but it's okay for me to feel angry. I'm just angry because this person pissed me off. And I have, my ego is trying to protect itself. I'm trying to defend myself. I'm trying to get what I want. And I don't like the fact this person like disrespected me or said something stupid. And it just makes me so mad. And then, this trade that I took, I really shouldn't have taken that. And I'm so pissed off because it just stopped out by 1 pip and then it went back into a lot of profit. And had I just not been stopped out, it would have been like a lot of profit. But instead I got stopped out to 1 pip and that just makes me so mad, this and that. Instead, you just accept that you're feeling that way. And then you say, you know what? I feel this way and that's okay. I'm going to do the best I can and whatever happens, happens. Now, this doesn't just work with anger. This works with every single emotion. I will tell you that I went through horrible anxiety at the beginning of January of 2025. It was miserable. I literally thought I was dying. I have had to go to the hospital, to the emergency room 4 times because I was 100% convinced that I was dying of all sorts of things, like a heart disease, like stomach cancer, brain cancer, a vestibular inner ear issue, some type of infection or virus or illness that we couldn't pinpoint, all sorts of crazy stuff. And it was just because I was so anxious. That's how bad and horrible these emotions and feelings can get. The thing that saved me, in addition to a little bit of medication and a little bit of therapy, was being able to finally say, you know what? I'm anxious as hell right now. And that's okay. I'm going to do whatever I was going to do anyway. And if I pass out, or if I die, or if I lose this next trade, or if I continue to feel this way for hours and hours and hours, whatever the case is, I'm just going to accept the fact that I feel that way. And I'm going to say, you know what? I feel this way and it is what it is. I accept it. I feel like shit right now. And there's nothing that can change it right here, right now, in this moment. And it's going to stay as long as it needs to. And I'm not going to even try to push it away. I will embrace and accept the fact that I feel that way. If you do this with thoughts like anger, and you do this with thoughts like anxiety and depression and sadness and every single emotion you've ever felt in your life and every emotion you will ever feel in your life, you get to the point where you become a lot more stoic. Let's go into Jeremy's specific questions. I was wondering if you could share something that helped you be as calm as you are in general. So when we say calm, there are some times where you might see me as a person who is very outgoing and eccentric and random and cracking jokes and having fun, and some people might not call that calm. However, my inner state, my mental peace, is usually calm pretty much all the time. And that is simply because I've crafted my lifestyle in such a way that I don't have a lot of things that really screw with me mentally. So that's the first part. But the second part is I accept any outcome, whatever it is. I'm no longer attached to an outcome by outcome basis of every single event in my life. I accept that there's horrible things that could happen to all of us. After this video, after I get done recording this, I could go out and drive to the grocery store and get hit by a car and killed. And there's nothing that I can do about that. And the same thing goes for you. There are so many things in life that are uncertain, and the only way to be remotely happy and content and satisfied with it and not be freaking out all the time with fear and anger and anxiety and depression is to just accept that things are uncertain and that you're just going to do the best you can, but you don't have control over everything that happens. So you just kind of accept whatever happens. As painful and gut-wrenching as that may sound, that is what saved me and helped me recover completely from my anxiety. For the first time in my life, for the past 2 to 3 months since this January thing happened in 2025, which is at the time of this video this year. I don't know when you're watching this video. It was January of 2025. Right now it's May of 2025. I've been recovered from this for about 3 months now. The thing that got me past it, in addition to the medication and therapy, was simply accepting. Saying, oh, there's that feeling of anxiety again. I'm at a stoplight in my car and the light's red and there's cars all around me and I'm trapped and I can't get out and I'm sitting here and I feel my heart start to race. I feel my breathing get heavier. I feel my hands start getting sweaty. And sometimes I'll feel like I'm going to pass out. I'll get kind of dizzy. And I just tell myself, yep, you could pass out. You feel super anxious right now. You feel dizzy. You feel horrible. The worst case imaginable could happen. You could pass out. They could have to bring the paramedics. You have to go to the hospital in an ambulance. That could happen. And I just let myself sit with it. I don't try to tell myself this stupid little story like, no, you're going to be okay, this and that, this and that. None of that works because your brain knows that there still could technically be danger. That's why even though it's irrational, you can still worry about something because there is a little chance it could happen. And that's what freaks the hell out of people. The only way you win when it comes to things like anger and anxiety and depression and every other emotion, sadness, ups and downs, emotional state, bipolar, back and forth, the only way you win against those is by accepting them and say, yeah, the bad thing that my brain is telling me might happen, that could happen. And you don't even argue with it. And then your brain tells you again, oh, but you're so angry and that person's such an asshole. Don't you just want to punch him? It's like, yeah, I do want to punch him. He is such an asshole. Yeah, it makes me mad that he did that. And your brain's like, okay, well, so what are you going to do? You got to defend yourself. And you're like, yeah, I kind of want to go punch that guy, but, it's probably not the best thing to do. So, yeah, I really do want to punch him. And he is an asshole. And I do feel like shit because he insulted me or something. And it made me very mad and angry. And you just sit with it. Eventually your brain recognizes like, okay, like Nick's not doing anything about this. But he's admitting that he's pissed off. Yeah. But he's not going and punching anyone over it. So I guess we have to stop telling him these thoughts because he's not really doing anything. So it's not really necessary to keep on nagging him about all these things. When you try to fight the thoughts and you try to tell yourself like, no, don't feel that way. Why are you so mad? Oh, you're so horrible. You're so horrible. Why are you so mad? Why do you have all these crazy thoughts? Or even worse, when you act on them and you latch onto them and you start going out and, grabbing someone by the neck and start choking them and beating the shit out of them. These are things that are not conducive to a happy, healthy, satisfying, and fulfilling life. And they're certainly not conducive to profitable trading. So that is the first thing. I just start accepting my emotions. That's how I remain so calm. Whatever I feel it 100%. And I don't try to push it away. And those were some life lessons, body lessons, life itself has taught me. So aside from a probabilistic mindset when it comes to trading, I like to be calm in every area of my life. Trading has been one of the best therapies because it's taught me to get a lot better at all of this. Over the past few years, I have had zero ups and downs in terms of emotional state when I'm winning or losing in trading. I say zero. What I really mean is it's been like virtually insignificant, right? Like microscopic. I'm not going to say I'm 100% always content and stoic all the time, but I'm like 98, 99% of the time, like perfectly like calm as a cucumber, as it were. If I make money or lose money, it really doesn't bother me. There are days where I look at my crypto portfolio and I'm up over $100,000 in a day because Bitcoin has spiked up a couple percentage points. And there's other days where I look at my crypto portfolio and it's down like 50,000 in a day, right? Or more. It's been crazy, right? There's been weeks where I've been down like 200 or 300 grand just in 1 week, just watching that. There's been P&L where like last year around the same time, like March, April, and May of 2024, where I made $180,000 trading Forex over the course of 6 weeks. And was I super happy about it then? I thought it was great, right? And that win streak represented all the profits for my year virtually in 2024 because the rest of the year wasn't amazing. There was wins, losses, break-evens, back and forth, but it wasn't a win streak as crazy as the beginning of the year. Was I upset about it? I wasn't upset whenever I have misfortune, and I'm not too happy in my good fortune either. I'm just kind of like pretty level-headed because I've just been doing it so long, and it's just kind of like built into me intrinsically. You only get better at anything by doing it more and getting more experience doing it. So if I were you, I would let yourself feel your emotions and accept them. It doesn't matter if it's depression or if it's anxiety or fear or if it is anger itself. When you feel an emotion, let yourself feel it. Tell yourself, yep, I am angry as fuck right now. This feels so bad. I literally just want to punch that person or literally just want to break my computer because of how mad I am right now. And just sit there with it. Don't try to control your breath or your breathing. If you start breathing harder and your heart rate's going up and you're just mad and you're clenching your fist, let your body do that. Don't try to fight it. It doesn't work. And if you don't believe me, try it for yourself. Try to fight the emotions. All it does is just makes things worse. It's better to just accept the fact that you feel the way you feel and then not act on it. Because at the end of the day, your thoughts and emotions can control you and cause you to do stupid things in your personal life and in your trading journey. Or your thoughts and emotions can be there and you can look at them almost as though you're like a third party. It's kind of like you're like a moderator. And you can be like, oh yeah, those are interesting thoughts and emotions. And yeah, it feels really bad. It feels really uncomfortable. This anxiety right now, the fear, the complete lack of psychological control that I perceive right now, yeah, this is really uncomfortable. And you just sit there with it. And you don't argue with it. You just validate yourself. Literally, you'll get to the point where within like 30 seconds to 60 seconds, it's no longer a big deal. But you have to continue to retrain those muscles mentally over and over and over. Otherwise, they will dictate your life. And you will call that fate. Don't let it be fate. You have more control over yourself than you think you do.